Hey everybody, welcome to Climb the Ladder for episode 113, presented by Washed Up Network. I'm your co-host Hunter, and my equally good-looking twin brother Duncan is sitting right here with me. And welcome to a morning edition of Climb the Ladder, where you guys get to wake up with Climb the Ladder as we are doing a early morning recording on this beautiful Thursday for you in August. As always, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us. And you can head over to YouTube to watch our morning selves on this episode of Climb the Ladder. As always, it's brought to you by ruggedroots.com, where you can save 20% off your purchase using code ladder20 at ruggedroots.com. As always, let's climb the ladder.
Good morning, everybody. I know that you probably wake up with us each week as you're listening to the podcast on your way into work or sitting at your office, but we're waking up to doing a morning recording, back at it with the crazy schedules that we've got. Figured might as well get up, get after it before the sun comes up, and go through some baseball, some beer league softball, and a little bit of outside the diamond to wrap it up. So, Hunter, most exciting thing probably that's happened this week as far as looking ahead is the 2023 MLB schedule is officially out.
Yeah, crazy to believe because it seems like we wait just all year for the one season to happen, but now we're already looking forward to the 2023 season. But I think it's cool. I think it's good timing that the schedule came out while there's still hype around baseball. It's right before football started, so I feel like it's really good timing and we can be excited about the next season while this season is still underway and really ramping up.
Yeah, I do like that they put it out, while we still have a good month or so left of the season. It's also exciting that there's quite a few changes that we can go through here today, but yeah, I like being able to look ahead. I know the Seahawks always release their schedule, in March, right after the dust has settled from the Super Bowl. So keeps you engaged, keeps you excited, and at least for the Seahawks, we always like to pick out wins and losses. A little bit harder in baseball, but we can at least look forward to some series, especially here with the new format, based off of what came from the CBA lockout this last winter. We have a lot of changes to the schedule, a lot of new opponents that we haven't got to play for a long time. So, really excited about that.
Yeah, and just to highlight some of those changes because I didn't even really realize it until it happened. Um, but there's a lot of schedule changes as far as the format goes in 2023, like you said, coming off of the CBA agreement. Um, and so just to pick that apart a little bit, um, get over to the right page here. But yeah, the so one of the biggest things that you'll notice for any and every team across the league is there's less interleague play. So just interleague, just moving around between AL, NL, and less divisional games. Um, so yeah, um, it says fewer intra-division games and at least one series with every other team, including those in the other league. So
And I think one part of that is typically AL teams would rotate through playing NL teams, where this year, instead of rotating, I saw yesterday on SportsCenter, every team plays every team next season, which I don't think has ever happened.
right, it hasn't, and that's what it said is you don't have to wait 3 years to see another team at just to compete against each other, AL versus an NL. But then even if you're thinking of watching that team come to your home ballpark, you'd have to wait 6 years to see, if like Joey, uh, loyal podcast guest, for Climb the Ladder. He's a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Great time to be a Redbirds fan. But if you want to see him come to Seattle, previously you'd have to wait 6 years for that to happen, and they would only play each other every 3 years. Now they'll play every year, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that it's awesome. I was a little confused before I started reading into it more. I'm always looking for how many series can we take against the Angels and the Rangers, and when are we going to have the stack up against the Astros? But they actually backed those off a little bit, like you were just saying, because usually we play them. It seems like every other series. Sometimes we'll sandwich 2 weeks of play with a Rangers on each end or whatever that is, and so I think it'll mix it up a little bit. Obviously, intra division is great. You get to know your opponents. It's one of those things that you just kind of expect to always have the ups and downs with that. But I think being able to play literally every team throughout the season will be really cool. So there's 56 games total within the division now, which is significantly less than we saw before. But then you also get 60 games against the rest of the league. So um,
Well, yeah, and so like you were saying within the division, because it seems like the M's play an AL West team every other series, which is kind of true. Um, because currently it's 19 games against the teams within our division. So Astros, Angels, Rangers, A's, um, for the Mariners. So now it's down to 14. So five less games per each division opponent. But like you said, or you were just getting into, 60 games against the rest of the league.
yeah, I think that that'll be big because that just opens up a little bit more opportunity for new matchups. Um,
Yeah, and so clubs will play six baseball games against 10 teams in the other two divisions of their league. So we'll see. It'll be cool to even just see AL Central and AL East matchups for a team like the Mariners. And I mean, really, for the most part, the AL West, um, who is primarily West Coast, other than the NL West, having the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres. So that'll be cool. I think that'll foster maybe some new rivalries up and down the West Coast, because I think the West Coast gets forgot about. We watch all the East Coast games, and the East Coast goes to sleep at 10 o'clock by the time all the West Coast ball games start
yeah.
playing at 7:10 p.m. Um, so yeah, even just spreading out throughout the central, west, central, and east will be cool. So um 3 games at home, three on the road, and then there will be a 4 game series kind of rotating new each year.
Yeah, and we've got less 4 game series each year, which probably makes room for more opponents to be faced, which I think is cool. And then speaking of rivalries, the Mariners got a little shout out in the article that we were talking or that we were reading. Um, but it said Padres versus Mariners is a developing rivalry. As a Mariners fan, I don't know if I've totally seen that yet, but maybe it's, a little bit of speculation from CBS. But honestly, I
And
can see
maybe
it
it's
with,
maybe it's because of the trade deal, and we took 4 of their guys,
yeah,
got
I think that's probably
Ty
where it's
France.
stemming from. I think it's really, if something like that is to happen in AL versus NL rivalry that's not in your, same state or whatever, like they have the Giants and the A's listed, Yankees and Mets, pretty easy, but the Padres being young and exciting, obviously they just signed Soto and they have all the young guys. Well, the Mariners are also kind of a sleeper, but also getting to be young and exciting. We've got Julio Rodriguez and Kyle Lewis and Kellenic if he can stay up, and we've got an exciting team. So I think that that could be one where, hey, if we're gonna play the Padres more, I know we usually play them anyways, but that's a interleague game and they're on the West Coast, so it's not a hard travel. I think that could be a fun one to watch here going forward.
Yeah. No doubt about that. And
The other
yeah,
one,
so
just on the note of interleague games, looks like so rivalries will play 4 games, 2 at home, 2 on the road, and then against the other 14 teams in, if you're a Mariners fan, then in the NL, teams will play 1 3-game series each season. So you'll get at least 3 games against every team in the league this year.
yeah, and that part, I think that's the coolest part, and that one will alternate home and away. But I think that that's something that has gone away, and it's become so regional and divisional in baseball that I mean, dude, talk about a good opportunity. I talked about going to all 30 ballparks, and we've said like how that would be really cool. And to schedule, like to try to find a trip where your team is playing at that ballpark, like you just you just wouldn't be able to do it on a normal season ever before. And now potentially in 2023, we could follow the Mariners around and hit every ballpark, which is unprecedented.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's something that we haven't seen before. And I know whenever I, have travel booked or I'm looking, hey, what would be an easy weekend getaway? Well, you're always looking what sports games are on. And now the chances of hitting a Mariners game or at least a team that you want to see, I saw the example in here. Why should Pittsburgh have to wait 6 years to see Shohei Ohtani? It's like very fair because
Yeah.
in 6 years, could he still be around? I think he will, but you never know. It's like you could have totally missed someone's career in Major League Baseball in 6 years. So I think that's a lot of fun. One other note on here is that there's no more 163 game tiebreakers. So
I
seasons
know. I'm bummed
162
about that.
get in. I think that was part of expanding to another wild card team. But otherwise, they're just using math, which you probably like.
as as good as I am at it, I like to leave that at the office um to worry about, and then when I log off and push in the chair at the end of the day, I like to come home and watch more baseball. So I am bummed that the 163rd game tiebreaker, usually it was just like if any team, was tied for the wild card spot at the end of the regular season, they'd play a head-to-head game. It's like it's cool. You didn't know who it was going to be. You didn't know which team was going to travel. You could travel across the country. I mean, the Mariners could play the Yankees. Um, never know. Dodgers play the Mets, like midnight flight. Is that team at a disadvantage? Probably, but also like if they're a good team, show up. Time change doesn't matter. All that stuff. So now that's gone, and it's going to go into like an algorithm, and the computer is going to tell us who gets it, win loss.
Yeah. And one thing that I'm excited about too, just continuing through kind of the 2023 schedule is uh the MLB is going on a world tour and not in concert fashion, but they have a 2 game series in London next year, June 24th and 25th of 2023, with the Cardinals versus the Cubs. So you take a rivalry that's had some deep roots here in the US, taking a little play out of the playbook from the NFL, and they're heading over to London for a series. So I think that that'll probably be the start to a lot more international games. Obviously, a lot of players come from the Dominican Republic, Mexico. So I think it would be cool to see some games travel down there more. Obviously, they've got to have the facilities to do it, but that could be a cool kind of return to home, homecoming. Tickets will probably sell well anywhere in the world, so that would be super cool to see.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And you're right. Taking a playbook from the NFL, and actually college is doing that this year too. Nebraska is playing their season opener week 0 in Dublin of all places, which is pretty cool. Spread the love. I mean, yeah, MLB is looking at Taiwan, Japan, some of these players' home countries, which is really cool too, to just foster that travel and um the opportunity to spread the game and play elsewhere.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Well, let's keep cruising through this year and look at what do the Mariners have coming up this year, or for the rest of the year at least. We've got some good baseball. We've had some bad baseball here recently, so figured might as well take a look at what does the next week or so hold for the M's and where do we see some wins? Because dropping a few to the A's and the Rangers were not helpful here in the last week.
Yeah, that was definitely disappointing. I mean, we went on a road trip that we should have swept, and we came home with only, what was it, 2 wins out of 6. Um, we dropped the series to the Angels first, and then we're like, or A's first, and we're like, man, where did that come from? The bottom feeder A's. Okay, let's, or sorry, LA first, and then the A's. But we were like, okay, let's go into Oakland. Let's just clean it up, win some. We won the first one, and then I don't know. We were just playing down, and we just weren't there. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. One thing that you mentioned that I really liked is Skipper Scott Service said that wins don't come in a Costco bulk buy. You gotta be consistent. You gotta you just gotta win throughout, and we can't just come on and be that 14 game win streak team because that helps. But if we're gonna really make a postseason run, we just have to be winning every game and every game every week.
Yeah, and I mean that's the truth. Like one game at a time. It's like now's not the time to sit back on our heels and just ride this in. Like we last week we were games ahead for the number one wild card spot, and now we're hanging on to the third place wild card spot.
Yeah, and that just shows how volatile this whole thing can be. I mean, you have Tampa Bay on a 5 game winning streak, which doesn't help anyone. And then you've got the Twins on a 5 game losing streak. So, from week to week, as we record and as we look at this, things are changing constantly. That's the great thing and the scary thing about baseball is really the best of the best get in. And if you let your guard down, if you start to slack a little bit, there's not room for that. And that's why the Mariners really got to keep their foot on the gas. We've got the next 7 out of 10 games are against the Guardians. So
Crazy.
I don't know if that's good. It seems weird. We're only 1 game ahead of the Guardians. So honestly, I would probably expect to split that 50-50 out of 7 games. We have a 4 game series starting today, followed with a quick stop in with the Tigers, I believe it was, and then back with the Guardians. So
Yeah, and
luckily,
one edit just from what I said. I was thinking of the series coming off against the Rangers, that we did not fare so well. We went into LA, swept them, and then we did lose the series to the A's. And then a weird 2 game series for the Nationals in Seattle. And we split that the last couple days earlier this week. And then, like Duncan said, 4 game weekend series starting on Thursday against the Guardians. Um, and yeah, my take on that also, I think we'll split that, and then we should sweep the Tigers, and then, but that's back on the road. So only, I mean, a quick 6 game homestand back on the road against the Tigers, 3 there, 3 against the Guardians, and then a good White Sox team will bring us back home. Um, and yeah,
yeah,
I think that'll be a good series too. These are all really good teams.
I think it's key here that we come back home for the White Sox, the Braves, and the Padres. Obviously, none of those are going to be easy. I saw yesterday the Braves had won 13 of their last 15. They're hot. They're looking really good. Padres have obviously had their ups and downs, but they're still a really good ball club. And I mean, we've been playing kind of poor on the road, but we really have to keep the foot on the gas because the White Sox are only a 4 games back from us right now in that race. And obviously, Cleveland is head of the AL Central at the moment. So, all that being said, we really got to keep it up. We've got a decent schedule ahead, one that's definitely manageable if we're playing at our top notch that we know that we can. But we really got to focus on what we do best. We really got to get the pitching dialed and make sure that we're continuing to produce at the plate.
Well, yeah, and just talking about the ease of our schedule, like it's really in our control. We can't be dropping these little week series here at the end. Um, because the season finishes up right after playing the Padres, 4 against the Angels, 3 against the A's, then we go Royals, Rangers, A's, and end with the Tigers. So I mean, that's over half the season playing against teams with a losing record. And usually, in the NFL, you make fun of that and you get the real test of a team um, on, weeks that it's like, oh, they haven't played anybody over 500 in the NFL. So that's why his passing is so good. That's why their defense is so good. But in baseball, I feel like anything can happen any given night. That's why you go back to what Scott Service said. It's one game at a time. It truly is. Um, and so anything could happen in these games, but the Mariners have a lot in their control playing these teams under 500.
Yeah, it's easy to look ahead and think, well, those are automatic wins, but in baseball, nothing's automatic. We've seen the best team. We saw the Yankees just go on an absolute skid for the last couple weeks, and they were the best team by far in baseball up until about August this year. So we really can't sit back. Like you said, we got to attack, we got to be aggressive. And if we can really capitalize in the month of September on teams with losing records, which is almost everyone, especially the back half of the month, we should be in good shape holding that number one AL wildcard spot.
Yeah, and just a note on the wild card standings, just to give an update there. It is a tight race. There's 3 teams that are in, and the 3 teams that are on the outside looking in are within 5 games of the top wild card spot. So really, there's 6 teams right now strongly in the running for 6 teams in the running for 3 spots. And we play almost all of them down the stretch. So Tampa Bay is at 68 wins. And then so they have the first place wild card spot. Toronto and us both have 67 wins, but we have 2 more losses than the Blue Jays that puts us in the third wild card spot. And then the outside looking in are the red hot Baltimore Orioles, who have done a complete 180, just taking out teams at the knees. They're on the outside looking in at 64 wins, and then the Twins and the White Sox are right below them. But like I said, they're all within 5 wins, and so anything could happen. This is right where the M's were at the end of last season, looking for that spot, looking for some team to shake things up. But just the fact that we play the White Sox at the end, that could have big implications. Um, the fact that we play the Guardians, we could help or hinder other teams' chances because as far as division leaders go, Houston, crazy. They are on a tear, and watch out for them being a top AL contender. I know that people say the team that finished at the top of the regular season might not go all the way. They got too hot too early, but Houston might have turned it on at the right time, like you said earlier, with the Yankees kind of falling off. Houston reached 80 wins, first team to do it in the American League. The Yankees, after a skid, have found their way back a little bit. They're at 76 wins. And then Cleveland is at 66 wins, which is lower than the Mariners, who are in second place in the AL. And yeah, Cleveland's leading the AL Central.
Yeah, it's crazy and cool that we have the ability not only to handle our own fate because we've been on the receiving end of it the last probably 3 or 4 seasons where we're really chasing, we're just trying to win enough games to get in, and we just fall short because somebody else wins and takes that wild card spot. But Now there's an extra wild card spot, and I'm praying that we don't have to even be considered for the third one, and that we can just take that first wild card spot, take care of business, get it done. And regardless of what anybody else does, that we can get in and make it happen. So I'm excited about that. One team that's making noise right now are the Cardinals. We've got Albert Pujols, who's absolutely tearing it up as in his victory lap in St. Louis. Obviously, started his career there in 2001. Here we are over 20 years later. He has made stops with the Angels and the Dodgers, and really good career with the Angels as well, but went back to where it all started, try to get them a World Series on his way out, and also break some records in the process. So right now, Pujols is on the brink of 700 home runs. I just saw that uh, A Rod was the next closest at 696, and obviously Babe Ruth is the one with over 700. So Pujols sitting at 693 right now. It's just crazy to see Pujols doing what he's doing at his age, still hitting home runs consistently, still helping the Cardinals win games. And he also has hit off of 449 different pitchers, which was also tying for the record, in 40 different ballparks with 12 walk-offs along the way. So, I mean, quite the resume just as far as home runs go. Obviously, Albert's done countless other things, but that 700 is what everyone's focusing on right now, and rightfully so. I think it's cool how it all played out where he could make his way back to St. Louis, and I hope that he's able to hit that 700 because that would be quite the feat.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, honestly, the coolest thing is watching history be made. Just to put it in perspective, that Pujols' rookie season, we were 5 years old, and now over 20 years later, we're watching him literally make history with the likes of Babe Ruth. So that's pretty special. It's a cool time, and just to watch him, I mean, and it's not like a home run here or there. I mean, these last couple games, he's had a couple of two home run games, like two dingers one night, just really making it happen. And people are speculating if he'll break 700, but the tear that he's been on lately, like if you put him in the game, he's going to hit a dinger. He's at 693. There's just under 40 games left of the season. No doubt in my mind, like he should be the leader. He'll break 700.
Yeah, this to me, this is the time to do it. He's got a month left of baseball, over a month, and he's sitting in a good position to do it. So excited for Albert, rooting for him regardless of what team he's on, because I think he's the guy to do it.
And who doesn't like dingers?
I know everybody loves it. That's what makes the top 10 every week in Sports Center. Well, Hunter, diving into our segments for the day, always brought to you by the Great PNW. Head over to thegreatpnw.com. Latest in Northwest sports apparel, stickers, hats, sweatshirts. Get ready for all of your fall gear that you're going to need to stay warm. They've got some awesome beanies there as well. And I just tested the code. It still works, and we want you to use it. So enter code CLIMB20 on thegreatpnw.com for 20% off your purchase. Hunter, we got a early morning episode going, so figured what better way to kick off segments with what's your favorite breakfast food? We're doing a little wake up segment here. What's your go-to? You're waking up, it's an early morning, rather than just a quick grab and go. You actually have some time to make breakfast. What are you making?
Yeah, I love the prompt. I love this segment. I mean, got to start with a cup of coffee, black coffee. I don't need anything in it, but that is what gets me going. That's what wakes me up. Um, I mean, and I don't even think the caffeine works anymore because I just drink it by the pot of coffee now. So it's more so for the flavor, the enjoyability, and mostly to not get a headache because of the dependency. Um, but for favorite breakfast food, I think there's two schools of thought. I feel like they've incorporated it in at diners, which I'll just do a little side note tangent. I don't think people go out to breakfast enough anymore. I think that like a workday lunch or a dinner celebration or a night out for dinner is a lot more common or celebrated. I think people need to bring back going out for breakfast, like on Hannah and I's anniversary, instead of a nice, um, like a nice dinner, like dress up, get fancy and everything. We went out for brunch. What better way to start the day? It was on a Sunday. Um, I mean, that's as good as it gets. So bring back going out to breakfast instead of nice fancy steak dinners. Brunch is going to be a lot cheaper. Anyway, I would say how they've incorporated it lately, especially going out for breakfast, is you don't have to order pancakes as your entree because every other item on the menu comes with pancakes. And I want some pancakes on the side, but I don't want that as my only item. And so I'll go for like an eggs benedict. So good.
I
Or
don't know when that started, but I think that's the best trend ever because I'm big on sweet, big on savory. A lot of people have one preference. I don't. Like whatever mood I'm in, if it's like, dude, I need that double cream cheese stuffed French toast, Like if I'm going for one of those like pecan crusted French toast, it's like bring it on. But sometimes you
send
just
it.
want like a big, meat and vegetable, Southwest omelet or something. So now what they've done, exactly what you're saying, and it's not like little dollar cakes. It's here's three pancakes the size of a tire, and it goes with your biscuits and gravy or your omelet or your eggs benny. So I think that that's a great move, and you don't get charged extra for it.
No, that's the thing. You don't even have to be like, oh, add a side of cakes. And I think we're more so talking about going out to eat for breakfast because there's some good different home options. Um, but dude, I mean, to get a side of pancakes, like they serve two or three full size pancakes on the side of an omelet or an eggs Benedict. And the tricky thing is when they set down the menu, what's always the first section? Because you don't have appetizers on a breakfast menu. The first thing is the 12 different types of pancakes that you can get. But then you just look a little further and then you get into the omelets, the eggs Benny, maybe some scrambles, and they all come with cakes. So
Yeah, love me a good scramble. The one thing I have a hard time of just ordering pancakes is like, yeah, I could, these are probably way better than what I could do, but I could probably make them at home. So the good alternative, just a classic pancake with some good diner maple syrup to accompany, the chicken fried steak, the B&G, the Benny, the omelet, the scramble. You have all those options. Sometimes a good diner breakfast burrito, if you know that they can do it right, definitely a
very
sleeper
good.
move. I will say, love going out for breakfast. If it's just, an easy Saturday morning or something, other than cereal, love me cereal. Um, but a good like make your own breakfast. If you do like three eggs, bacon, and a couple pieces of toast, like it's simple, it's easy, you know what you're gonna get. It's kind of the old faithful. That's probably a go-to if I have all this stuff here.
Yeah. And one note on that, I love how you threw in the diner maple syrup. I feel like no matter what kind of maple syrup you buy at the grocery store, nothing even touches diner maple syrup. It's it's sweeter, it's more maple. Like I don't know what they do.
Yeah, it's thicker because I love like the good organic stuff that's straight out of, Vermont or whatever from Costco, and it's so good.
Shout
But
out
it's
Canada.
it's yeah, give our brothers to the north a little love, but it's a little more thin. I want like that good thick maple syrup. I mean, people are going sugar free and stuff these days. If you're eating syrup, it's gotta have sugar. Like it's gotta have
Pour it
a lot.
on.
So yeah, bring it on. Well, love that segment. We'll have to do a little wake up or go to bed with CTL depending on what time we're recording each week. But let's get into a little bit of beer league softball. I know that your season of double headers is um, underway, and you were able to pull off a feat this week.
Yeah, I know we both texted. You finished a little before me with the time difference. and you texted that you got a dub and I got one too. First one of the season. So week 2 of double headers, but we're 4 games in, and we dropped the first one of the night. Pretty rough. I won't say the score, but they had double digits and we did not. Um, and it just that was a little warm up game because we came out swinging for the second game, and we put up a 20 burger on them, and we won 22-15. So that was a nice feel good win. Everything really came together. And so yeah, we're 1-4 after 2 weeks. Um, and yeah, the guys are looking good. Everything's clicking. And I feel like right when we really get into it, we're, 5 week season, boom, done. Because we have Labor Day off. We play Monday nights, and then we'll come back, have 2 more weeks, and then the season's over. And then we have to wait 6 months for spring.
Yeah, that's crazy that you're doing it fast and furious. Cool that you're able to get some revenge and get a dub on the second game of the doubleheader. We're also underway. We are 5 games in, I think, already. And yeah, we're 5 games in, which means that we only have 3 games left, but we're sitting at first in the division right now. After that last win, sitting at 4-1. We've had 3 walk-off wins, so by 1 run, which is crazy. And our only loss was, I think it was our first game of the season. It was kind of rough, but we made it happen. This game on Monday, though, absolutely electric. Back and forth with really good team. They were sitting at first in the division going into Monday night, and they just had some hitters. They were hitting it where we weren't. No fly balls, just line drives in the gap. Which hats off to them because we could not stop it. Our defense was a little bit slacking, and then we were getting a little eager at the plate, starting to pop them up. But we came back. We were down 4-10, and got up 11-10 on them, which was awesome. They came
Whoa.
back top of the seventh and tied it up. And so we were nervous. We were like, okay, this is our time. I'm glad we were the home team because it gave us a chance. And number 10 hitter, bottom of the order, he was actually a sub for us, which was awesome. But he comes up. We had walked a guy to first, and he crushes one over the left field fence for a traditional 2-run dinger walk off. Felt good. The other team knew it. They're like, man, well fought game. Nothing you can do about that. Hats off. So sitting at first, hoping to keep the momentum rolling into Labor Day, and yeah, we'll wrap up just afterwards as well. Co-ed not going so hot. Still seeking some cohesion between the first year team. We only had a few returners from last year, and then we didn't play this spring. So we have a game tonight, hoping that it goes well, hoping that we can pull some strings and actually make it happen. But it's fun to just get out there and play with your friends, and yeah, hopefully get some wins along the way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool to hear about the guys. You guys got a good team season after season. You get to play 2 times a year. It is a bummer, just living in the Northwest, no winter season. I was thinking about, people in Arizona probably just get to play year round. And just think of how much better and faster and everything the teams would be clicking if you got to play like even 3 seasons a year and just had a couple little breaks in there. But that's awesome to hear about the walk-offs and just your team really making it happen, being at the top.
Yeah, it's been a really good time, and happy that we're finally going for first this year.
Yeah, that's big time, and I know that, you guys have been building really for a couple of years, to get to this spot. It didn't all happen at once, but now you're here and, you got everybody else's eyes on you at the top.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's shift into our last topic of the day. Let's put some eyes on the Seahawks jumping outside the diamond and seeing what do we got coming up? I mean, the season's approaching. We got the last preseason game here coming this Friday. And then we're going to jump into Seahawks football, 2022 full time. And so it's crazy to think that the season's kicking off. Seahawks face the Cowboys in Dallas tomorrow. at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, so 8 Eastern. And then they start with the game that everyone's talking about at home. Russell Wilson's first time back to Seattle since becoming a Bronco. Looking like Drew Lock will end up getting the start against his former team as well. But Geno will be starting tomorrow. Geno Smith against the Cowboys. Honestly, it's kind of a pick your poison. I think Drew Lock might have the upper hand. I will be interested to see how Geno does tomorrow and see if he can maybe grab that first start. But I think just for the script that we have out of Hollywood with Russell Wilson versus Drew Lock, their old teams, it's probably got to be Drew Lock. Um, I know he was on the COVID list, so he's been out. I don't really know what to expect of him, and I feel like I won't until week one, until he's actually in regular season form. But yeah, any thoughts on, kind of the crazy outlook that we've got here?
Crazy, I know, back and forth. If you look at what Pete Carroll said as of recently, we got two number ones, which doesn't define a clear path to a starter. Um, my thought, honestly, is that Gino will start the season. He'll get the QB1 spot. He'll start maybe the first 3 games of the season, maybe 4, and then hand it over to Drew Lock, kind of what the Bears did last year with Andy Dalton, not letting Justin Fields. I know Fields was a rookie last year, so they're like, well, we don't just want to give the rookie that we drafted right away. And then he ended up playing the rest of the season. I think Locke ultimately will hold it down, just because we did see what Gino did early last season in Russell's absence. Um, the only thing that I'm hoping for different results with that is that Gino has got a lot more practice in these couple weeks leading up to the season with the starters. That that is the only thing that I can see being a potential in the right direction. And so I do have some faith there, but otherwise, I think Locke is like a sponge, has a lot to learn. I think he can learn from a guy like Gino, who's been in the league for what seems like 15 years, probably not that long, but seems like Gino was with the Jets like 10 years ago. So we'll see. I think there's good outlook for both. Maybe use both of them in a game. I don't know. But I do think my prediction is that Gino will start a couple games and then hand it over to Locke.
Yeah, I think that that's a great take. I'm a little bit nervous just overall on the schedule. I know that we've got the Lions sprinkled in there. We've got a Marcus Mariota led Falcons, which I'm interested to see how that goes after being in the league for quite some time and not really being a starter, other than in his early days in Tennessee. So I don't know. I'm kind of nervous just for the schedule. I know that the Cards are going to come back and be good. The Niners should be decent this year again. We've also got the Bucks on the schedule, the Chargers, which Herbert led Chargers is pretty scary to me. So I'm honestly not going in with too much optimism, which I think is justified with our current quarterback situation. And we really don't have much depth on defense. So just kind of wanted to check that out before the season starts. Maybe do a final after next week's preseason, or after this week's preseason, do a final guess on where we think that the season's going to go as far as the record is, because I think we threw a dart at it when the schedule came out earlier this year, but we'll have to see exactly where we're at. I don't know. I'm excited because it's football season and that's what matters. I mean, even if you watch a team lose all season, it's rough, but it's still NFL football, and that's what we love. College football here starting soon as well. You can feel it in the air. It's a little bit darker in the morning.
A
It's a little bit cooler,
little
but Boise State
crispier.
football is it's coming, and I'm excited to see some games on the blue. Hopefully, we'll get you down here for at least one, maybe more. But yeah, football is in the air, and it's right here. It's right on the corner.
Yeah, definitely ready for football season. It's feeling like it. I was gonna say that it's in the air here, but we're supposed to have 90 degrees today. And so I think after Labor Day is really when it'll feel like football season in the Pacific Northwest. definitely looking forward to it. NFL, college, some Friday night lights. Get out there, and there's about to be football on TV or happening, like even for high school, like 4 days a week, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I'm ready for football. High school football actually started last week. They had their first games on Friday, so it's happening. It's weird because it was still 100 degrees yesterday. So I agree. It's been a great summer. The sandwich between Memorial Day and Labor Day has been awesome, but I think we're ready for a little bit cooler temps. I'm hoping we can keep like the nice 75 for a while because we really didn't get that this year. It snowed in May and then it was 90 plus in June. So I'm ready for something a little bit more in the middle. But hey, football's here and I'm here for it.
Yeah, fall is the best. Well, this has been a great episode 113, and just wanted to, before we sign off for today, say that I will be absent in next week's episode, but Duncan will be bringing it to you with a guest for episode 114. I will be out of the country in Europe for a wedding of none other than Joey Giglio. So that should be a fun time. Going to go explore across the pond. Duncan's going to hold it down with a guest to be named. We've always had some good fill-ins, some good interim co-hosts for the weeks, and then Duncan after his wedding, which is right around the corner. We're inside a month. Of course, the week following that, they'll be on their honeymoon, which more to come about that. But he'll be absent. I'll have a good fill in. So a little bit of back and forth, but we're always bringing you guys the episodes and we won't leave anybody hanging.
Yeah, for sure. Excited to hear about your travels. Hope you make it back safe and healthy with some good stories to share. And yeah, I'll be coming at you next week for episode 114.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. And thank you guys again for tuning in as we wake up with CTL.
Yeah, thanks for listening this morning. And as always,
Let's
let's
climb the
climb the
ladder.
ladder.